experience, we will turn that experience into a sectarian cult. That, supposing you tell the perfect message to 20 people and they all go off to do something about it, after 20, 30, 40 years, you go back to see how it's going, you'll see 20, 30, 40 different practices being practiced based on how the hearer heard it. So that's why it's so vitally important that we don't listen to temple gurus and that we just listen to Prabhupada and hear the pure message. And when we're chanting japa, we should learn to divide our mentality, how to minimize the anarthas and how to maximize our surrender. When we surrender, Hare Krishna, we surrender to the holy name, then we are going to minimize the anarthas. If I'm chanting the holy name and thinking, I think I look very good chanting the holy name, when I give the lecture at the next class, I will sit in such and such a way to impress people. Well, you can see that is an anartha. That is the disease, the weeds growing. So unfortunately, practically speaking, the ISKCON guru system is practically designed and engineered to create anarthas. Because you have to be a guru, you have to give the impression of being a guru. You have to do the style, you have to do the walk. You have to wear the garland, you have to know when to receive a flower and when to give a flower. All these things are externals to try to convince the people that you're with that you are indeed a spiritual person, you see?
Yeah, nowadays.
So that's why it's so dangerous to take on gurus, ISKCON gurus, because they're being trained to be show bottle. Prabhupada said show bottle. You know what show bottle is in the Victorian age. If you have
the empty bottle of medicine, which do not give any.
Yeah, and it could be very big, right? And you put it in the window of the apothecary, and people say, wow, I want to get some of that. I think they think if you go in, someone will come to the front window and take out some medicine. But the show bottle is just to show. It's empty, right? I think it's a British, 19th century British term, but I think it was adopted in India, of course.
No, it was widely used in pharmacist business. Like the show bottle, it was widely used in pharmacist business, like in which pharmaceutical shops, they used to keep the display bottles of their samples on their shops so that people can see, okay, this is the medicine.
Yeah, so, but actually when you go to get the medicine, he goes in the back to the shelf, takes it up and brings it out and puts it in a bag for you.
Yeah. So Prabhu.
So that's the idea. Show bottle means, Prabhupada used the term that you're acting the act, but you're not living the reality of it.
So Prabhu, by this statement, like from Nectar of Devotion, like few realizations I had that if there is a thing that in initial stages of devotional life, in neophyte stage, like if someone does not weed off their unwanted anarthas, then at the later stage of devotional service, these anarthas will grow stronger and it would be much more difficult to weed them off. So is it something that an Uttama Adhikari is already decided in his neophyte stages itself?
Excuse me?
Like a person who is destined to become an Uttama Adhikari is decided in his neophyte stages itself, that whether at that time if someone weeds off these unwanted anarthas, then he can become a pure devotee. Otherwise, he would just water these anarthas throughout his devotional service.
Well, if I know that I'm spirit soul and I want to become Krishna conscious and I want to become self-realized, if I want to experience myself as pure spirit soul, then I will not let those anarthas get in the way, because they stop you from getting what you want. If what I want is profit, adoration, and prestige, then I will do whatever I have to do to look good as a devotee, chant on beads, etc. But in the end, I'm just doing it show bottle. I'm just doing it to make people think that that's what I'm doing. Now, sometimes people will start out sincere and they become an ISKCON guru. And after time goes on, it's very hard work. You have to convince people all the time that you're transcendental and spiritually way beyond your disciples. They come to a point where they can't handle it anymore. So they leave and they get married. Or even taking on the karma of some people. It leads you end up with all they want to be brahmacharis, so you take on their lust propensity, you take on their marriage karma, you take on their family karma, and next thing you know, you're stuck with 200 people's sex and marriage karmas in you, and you can't get rid of it because you're not a pure devotee. This is an ISKCON guru. So that's where we have to be very careful not to take on people's karma, but to rather to transfer our karma out of ourselves via purification by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like that. Chant intensely, internally, and the karma will get burned up. But if I think offensively, sinning on the sense of chanting, I will chant and burn up all my karma. Then I'll do all sorts of sense gratification for myself meaning my material body and my conditioned mind, etc. I'll do all of that for my so-called self. And then I will chant some more and clear it up again. So I'll keep on clearing it up and clearing and sinning and clearing and sinning and clearing and sinning. Prabhupada took great objection to the Catholic Church because he made it clear that you go to confession, you're absolved, you chant some Hail Marys, you chant on your 54 bead rosary, half of our 108 bead rosary. You do all of those things, then you can go and sin again, because that means you can go and confess again and be forgiven again. And Prabhupada said 3 times you can be forgiven, but not every week.
Yeah, like actually, this is kind of the reason of my worry right now. Because from our history, we know that there were many devotees like your god brothers who were like in those times who did a very sincere service to Prabhupada, like Kirtanananda Maharaj and Hansadutta. But even if such a devotees from whom Prabhupada took so much service, even if they can fall, then I feel kind of hopeless.
Anyone can fall down. Anyone who's not a Uttama Adhikari can fall down. Anybody who's not a pure devotee can fall down.
Yeah, when we read the history of those devotees and the magnitude of service they did, so it feels like big demigods falling down. So
well, it may be, but demigods can also fall down. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
So the thing to remember is not that they did so much service and they fell down. Therefore, we think in our brain, maybe there's something wrong with the process. Because if the process were good, why would they fall down? They were doing everything okay. But the first thing to remember is all the ones that fell down, like Kirtanananda Hansadutta, they became Diksha gurus, illegal Diksha gurus. They took on karma and they were worshipped. It's very difficult when you're being worshipped. It's like being a rock and roll star. If you go out and you give a concert and everybody swoons and goes crazy and acts like insane in the concert, how are you going to say, I'm not really worthy of that?
It's very difficult.
You stop the microphone, stop the band, and said, stop adoring me. Just listen to the music. I'm a musician, not some sort of deity. They don't say that. They welcome it. right?
It just increases the attachment with body. Like if one is not
Yeah.
above material conception, it is
Yeah, the rock and roll star creates a whole different dimension of body, sort of like an psychic body, astral body. The musical body is a mental body. So he creates this whole rock and roll persona and drives people crazy, or rather, people are so foolish that they allow themselves to go crazy because they think they're supposed to. They go to the concert. I paid so much money to go to the concert. Why don't I immediately start going crazy? Because I paid for it. They could go crazy for free, but they don't. They have to pay a lot of money. Then they can go crazy of the rock star. So that's just the way it is. That's the way it is with such as Sai Baba and people like that, gurus, different gurus. They created an atmosphere where the disciple goes mad because that's what he's supposed to do. So that's nothing to do with what you quote from the Nectar of Devotion. From the Nectar of Devotion is described, that's reality. It's practical. It doesn't deal with cheaters and cheated. So when you are like Hansaduta or Kirtananda was never not fallen down. He just lived a double life.
Ah. Right.
Oh, you're back. How was your daughter?
They're doing all right. They wanted to come over, so I'm like, tomorrow's the
Tonight?
day. Tonight. I'm like, no, today the meeting is going on. Can't come right now. But
Well, if they
anyways,
came over,
you guys are having a wonderful discussion. Very nice questions devotees are asking. So
yes.
I've
So
been hearing.
he's talking about the Bhakti Lata Beach
Yes, and
and
then
also the toxic weeds that grow
Right.
alongside of. So that's why it's so important for the neophyte, starting from the first day that he picks up japa beads or enters into kirtan, to realize he is cultivating the Bhakti Lata Bij, the devotional creeper, and he is trying to neglect the weed. Not thinking I'm dancing in the kirtan, now don't I look nice? Oh, look at this, the girls are looking at me because I'm young and handsome, dancing nicely. Oh yes, I will dance even more nicely. Maybe more girls will look at me. Maybe that will make me a great Sankirtan leader, because when I go out in the street, all the girls will chase me down the street. I can think like that, but that is a great anartha. That is against the principle of actual bhakti. Bhakti, the ecstasy and attractiveness of bhakti, is the sound vibration of Krishna's holy name. Hare Krishna. When I become absorbed in that chanting sound vibration, then I can become freed from the anarthas and cultivate the Bhakti Lata Beach, the devotional creeper.
I think it's there in the Chaitanya Chaitamrita where Prabhupada is talking about if you chant Hare Krishna and you cultivate these other desires of, for example, you want to be some kind of famous person or be some kind of leader, that happens, and then eventually that consciousness pulls you out of that nice mood that you had just by chanting Hare Krishna. These things, these desires get fulfilled.
Because you always have a choice.
Yes, right.
I can choose Hare Krishna, I'm happy. But nobody's noticing me. Hare Krishna, now people are noticing me. So I've created a monster. Now I'm going like that all the time so that people will see me while saying Hare Krishna, trying to be sincere. At some point, either you give up trying to attract people, or you give up being sincere. Which one are you going to do? But for the real Vaishnava, I mean, look at who the 6 Goswamis were. They're Shaktis in the spiritual world. They're the closest gopis to Krishna and Radha. They are intimate associates of Radha and Krishna. But when they came here, one of the Goswamis had parasites crawling into wounds on his arms.
Sanatan Goswami.
Right? Sanatan? Yeah, and when they were crawling in, sometimes they would fall out and land on the ground. And you know what he would do?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, he would put them back on his body.
he picked them up and put them back in the wound. And they say, why are you doing that? These are parasites. They're against your good fortune. You may get sick and die from the infection and everything. Why are you doing that? And he looks out and says simply and soberly, they have deserved to live. I am not here to kill another living being. Every living being deserves his livelihood. And the livelihood of that creature, the parasite, is to eat the dead flesh in my body. How am I going to deny him that right to survive? Is he not equal to me? Is
Jai.
he not also pure spirit soul? Aham Brahmasmi, I am pure spirit soul. And then is he not also pure spirit soul? What makes me better than he is? Oh, you're a great saint, you're chanting Hare Krishna. But I am also part and parcel of God. He is also part and parcel of God. What, may I ask, is the difference?
Just the body.
Yeah, the body and behavior.
Oh, yes. I mean, behavior, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, no?
Well, that's if that's what you're doing. But if you're Sanatana Goswami,
Oh, okay, yes. Sanatan Goswami, no, of course.
remember, we're talking about Sanatana Goswami
Acha.
putting the parasites back in his wounds.
Right.
Leeches, I think they were.
I'm sorry, leeches?
Yeah, I
don't
think there were
leeches.
leeches. No,
No, who says?
I don't know. I just thought that.
I heard that they were bugs inside of wounds.
Well,
leeches sit
it
on
was
the
some kind
surface
of-
and leeches live in the water.
12,
Maybe I'm mistaken.
12,
Could
135. Okay.
Oh, you can look it up, of course,
Hmm.
now that you have your computer open. So,
Okay.
Prabhu, like it again brings back to the same question, like if we think about a deadlock situation here, that by chanting japa, we destroy our seeds of sinful activities or the desires of sinful activity. But
japa and kirtan.
yeah, like by chanting, like we destroy the desires of sinful activities and these things. On the other hand, in neophyte stages, if someone is having the sinful desires, that practically everyone has, because
Yes.
we are born with like these things like
Well, you have previous life
ichcha,
birth
dvesh,
of
mukti,
karma
like-
to take birth and to eat, sleep, mate, and defend. That's what your previous birth has given you in this lifetime. So renunciation means I may have been born for big sex life. I may have been born to eat big meat pieces. I may have been born to take intoxication. I may have been born for all of these things by my previous birth. You were not necessarily, but I mean, in the West, that's what people are born to do. Then, if he chooses, I will give that up. Then you chant Hare Krishna and you give it up. And if you do it, chant nicely, you don't miss it. Instead of saying, oh, I wish I could eat a big piece of meat. No, you say, I wish I could eat a nice samosa or sabji.
simply wonderfuls.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you are talking about is talked about here. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Srila Prabhupada comments here. Where is it? It's saying, you can see Vinayak Prabhu here.
Yeah.
A neophyte devotee is certain to be attacked by other material desires as well, namely desires for women and money. In this way, the heart is again filled with dirty things and becomes harder and harder, like that of a materialist. Generally, one desires to become a reputed devotee or an avatar incarnation. This is very interesting. Gradually, one desires to become a reputed devotee or an avatar.
Yeah, the desire
Bogus.
for reputation comes out of
Yeah.
sex desire.
bogus guru system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the avatar is servant, right? We think avatar, oh, he's so exalted. But from the avatar point of view, he's not feel exalted. He feels I've come as avatar to serve more accurately. I can serve better. I can serve Krishna better as avatar than I can as a guy with mixed devotion, tempted by this girl or that girl, or tempted by this diet or that diet, or alcohol, or smoking pot, or all those temptations. Avatar says, I don't have any of those desires. Therefore, I am happier to be that level of servant, not. But we look at avatar and say, oh, let's worship the avatar. Why? Because we want benefit for ourselves. But you don't have to worship the avatar. You worship the avatar because he can deliver you. But that's not the purpose of the avatar, is not to be worshipped. The purpose of the avatar is to serve you. Just like Prabhupada's goal was not to be worshipped by his devotees. His goal was to tolerate the offenses of his devotees so that they could go back to God.
Right.
And he did. He suffered up to the end. And he was saying that in 1976, 77, I remember we read some quote, Ramachandra, where Lord Chaitanya, where Prabhupada said something about how you've had to suffer and all that. And he said, and I am still suffering.
Yes.
Why did they think that Prabhupada would have a good time when the GBC committed Guru Aparad against him by giving up GBC being elected? It's not just a technical material thing. It's Guru Aparad, a great offense. Okay, now where were you with that reading? Did you finish it all?
Oh yeah, no, there's some more interesting things Prabhupada here is saying. So I'll read
go
it.
ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is he giving any remedy?
We'll have to read the whole purport, but we can read it. Maybe you can read it, huh? Let's see, where should we read? Let's see. Okay, here we go. The remedy. Vinayak, should I read it or you want to read it right here? Oh.
Okay, I can read a little.
Can you make your microphone louder? It's very low. Can you speak closer to the?
Yeah. Okay now.
Still not. It could be better. Can you do?
I can hear him very clearly.
Oh. Okay, go ahead, Vinayak Prabhu.
If a devotee at all wants to cleanse his heart, he must chant and hear the glories of the Lord, Shri Krishna, Srinvatam Swakata Krishna. This is a simple process. Krishna himself will help cleanse the heart because he is already seated there. Krishna wants to continue living within the heart and Lord wants to give directions, but one has to keep his heart as clean as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept in the Gundicha temple. For a jiva, how is it possible? The devotee therefore has to cleanse his heart, just as the Lord cleansed the Gundicha temple. In this way, one can be pacified and enriched in devotional service. If the heart is filled with straw, grains of sand, weeds, or dust, in other words, Anya Bhilasita Purna, one cannot enthrone the Supreme Personality of Godhead there. The heart must be cleansed of all material motives brought about through fruitive work, speculative knowledge, the mystic yoga system, and so many other forms of so-called meditation. The heart must be cleansed without ulterior motive, as Srila Rupa Goswami says, Anya Bhilasita Shunyam Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam. In other words, there should not be any external motive. One should not attempt material upliftment, understanding the Supreme by speculative knowledge, fruitive activity, severe austerity and penance, and so on. All these activities are against the natural growth of the spontaneous love of Godhead. As soon as these are present within the heart should be understood to be unclean and therefore unfit to serve as Krishna's sitting place. We cannot perceive the Lord's presence in our hearts unless our hearts are cleansed. The material desire is... Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
A material desire is explained as a desire to enjoy the material world to its fullest extent. In modern language, this is called economic development. An inordinate desire for economic development is considered to be like straws and grains of sand within the heart. If one is overly engaged in material activity, the heart will always remain disturbed. As stated by Narottam Das Thakura, Samsara Vishanele Divani Sihiya Jale, Judayate Nakaini Upaya. In other words, endeavor for material opulence is against the principle of devotional service. Material enjoyment includes activities such as great sacrifices for auspicious activity, charity, austerity, elevation to the higher planetary system, and even living happily within the material world.
Hmm.
Living happily within the material world is also sense
Yeah.
gratification. Modernized material benefit are like dust of material contamination. When this dust is agitated by whirlwind of fruitive activity, it overcomes the heart. Thus, the mirror of the heart is covered with dust. There are many desires for performing auspicious and inauspicious activities, but people do not know how life after life they are keeping their hearts unclean. One who cannot give up the desire for fruitive activity is understood to be covered by the dust of material contamination. Karmis generally think that the interaction of fruitive activities can be counteracted by another karma or fruitive activity. This is certainly a mistaken conception. If one is deluded by such conception, he is cheated by his own activity. Such activities
Wow.
have been compared to an elephant's bathing. An elephant may bathe very thoroughly, but as soon as it comes out of the river, it immediately takes some sand from the land and throws it all over its body. If one suffers due to his past fruitive activities, he cannot counteract his suffering by performing auspicious activities. The sufferings of human society cannot be counteracted by material plans. The only way suffering can be mitigated is by Krishna consciousness. When one takes Krishna consciousness and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord, beginning with chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord, the cleansing of the heart begins. When the heart is actually cleansed, one can clearly see the Lord sitting there without any disturbance. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord confirms that He sits within the heart of a pure devotee. Sadhavo hridayam mayam sadhunam hridayam twaham. Impersonal speculation, monism, merging into the existence of the Supreme, speculative knowledge, mystic yoga, and meditation are all compared to the grains of the sand. They are simply cause irritation to the heart. No one can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by such activities, nor do we give the Lord a chance to sit in our hearts peacefully. Rather, the Lord is simply disturbed by them. Sometimes, yogis and jnanis in the beginning take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra as a way to begin their various practices. But when they falsely think that they have attained release from a bondage of material existence, they give up chanting. They do not consider that the ultimate goal is the form of the Lord or the name of the Lord. Such fortunate creators are never favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for they do not know what devotional service is. Lord Krishna describes them in Bhagavad Gita in this way: Tan ham dushatah kruran samsareshu naradhaman kshipyamyajasramam ashubhan asurishva eva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. By his practical example, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown us that all the grains of sand must be picked up thoroughly and thrown outside. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also cleansed the outside of the temple, fearing that the grains of sand would again come within. In this connection, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that even though one may become free from the desire or for fruitive activities, sometimes the subtle desire for fruitive activity again comes into being within the heart. One often thinks of conducting business to improve devotional activity, but the contamination is so strong that it may later develop into misunderstanding, described as kutinati activity, kutinati fault finding, and pratisthasa the desire for name and fame for high position, Jeev Himsa, envy for other living entities, Nishithachara, accepting things forbidden in the Shastra, Kama, desire for material gain, and Puja, hankering for popularity. The word Kuti Niti so means duplicity. As an example of Pratisthasa, One may attempt to imitate Srila Haridas Thakura by living in a solitary place. One's real desire may be for name and fame. In other words, one thinks that fools will accept one to be as good as Haridas Thakura just because one lives in a solitary place. These are all material desires. A neophyte devotee is certain to be attacked by other material desires as well, namely desires for women and money. In this way, the heart is again filled with dirty things and becomes harder and harder, like that of a materialist. Gradually, one's desires become a reputed devotee or an avatara incarnation. The word Jeev Himsa, envy of other living entities, actually means stopping the preaching of Krishna consciousness. The word I want to read this again. The word Jiva Himsa, envy of other living entities, actually means stopping the preaching of Krishna consciousness. Preaching work is described as paropkar, welfare for others. Those who are ignorant of the benefits of devotional service must be educated by preaching. For if one stops preaching and simply sits down in a solitary place, he is engaging in material activity. If one desires to make a compromise with Mayavadis, he is also engaged in material activity. A devotee should never make compromises with non devotees. By acting as a professional guru, mystic yogi, or a miracle man, one may cheat and bluff the general public and gain fame as a wonderful mystic. But all this is considered to be dust, straw, and grains of sand within the heart. In addition, one should follow the regulative principles and not desire illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, or meat. To give us practical instructions, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleansed the temple twice. His second cleansing was more thorough. The idea was to throw away all the stumbling blocks on the path of devotional service. He cleansed the temple with firm conviction, as is evident from his using his own personal garments for cleansing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see personally that the temple was thoroughly cleansed to the standard of clean marble. Clean marble gives a cooling effect. Devotional service means attaining peace from all disturbances caused by material contamination. In other words, it is the process by which the mind is cooled. The mind can be peaceful and thoroughly cleansed when one no longer desires anything but devotional service. Even though all dirty things may be cleansed away, sometimes subtle desires remain in the mind for impersonalism, monism, success, and the four principles of religious activity, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. All these are like spots on clean cloth. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also wanted to cleanse all these away. By his practical activity, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
Haribol, go ahead. Haribol, go ahead, Prabhu. You're reading it superbly. Yeah.
by his practical activity, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed us how to cleanse our hearts. Once the heart is cleansed, we should invite Lord Sri Krishna to sit down and we should observe the festival by distributing prasada and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to teach every devotee by his personal behavior. Everyone who spreads the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts a similar responsibility. The Lord was personally chastising and praising individuals in the course of the cleansing, and those who are engaged as acharyas must learn from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu how to train devotees by personal example. The Lord was very much pleased with those who could cleanse the temple by taking out undesirable things accumulated within. This is called anartha nivriti, cleansing the heart of all unwanted things. Thus, the cleansing of the Gundicha Mandira was conducted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to let us know how the heart should be cleansed and soothed to receive Lord Sri Krishna and enable him to sit within the heart without disturbance.
Jai.
Jai Srila
That
Prabhupada.
is so amazing. What is that shloka? What is that purport from? Where is it from?
This is from Chaitanya Chaitamrita, Madhya Lila. What is it? Madhya 15, 1, no, Madhya 12.
135.
What is it, Prabhu?
Chapter
Madhya
12.
text
Chapter
135.
Okay.
So, Ramachandra, can you copy that and email it to me? Because I want to send it with a few extra comments to
Yes,
Vasu Ghosh.
yes.
Like this,
Because it
this
seems that it
single
answers
purport
all of
actually.
Vasu Ghosh's issues right there.
Right. Vinayak Prabhu, you were saying this single what? This single purport?
This single purport actually describes the advancement a jiva takes place, like an ordinary Krishna conscious person takes in few lifetimes, like this kind of advancement that is being described in this purport.
Hmm.
And generally, one thing is there, like in Srila Prabhupada's purports, like some people in our movement may think that reading the books of previous Goswamis may get them to a higher understanding or consciousness. But actually, this purport it's the other way around. Like this purport is a compilation of multiple purports of this particular verse of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from previous acharyas. Like Prabhupada was mentioning about what Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati mentions about in this purport. So a lot of like it is like the other way around. Like the purports of Srila Prabhupada is a compilation of realizations of previous acharyas on a particular philosophy. And the one thing that I like about this purport was the Jeev Himsa definition that Prabhupada gave, that one who stops the preaching work and sits in a solitary place. It's kind of sense enjoyment, and it is a Jeev Himsa.
Yeah, material desire. That's material desire, right? He says.
We can also understand that many times, like devotees of ISKCON, they go to Gaudiya Matha and then they stop, kind of preaching work stops technically.
Yeah.
They might think it as a kind of advancement.
They think because they're interested in their own profit in terms of becoming purified, maybe getting disciples, maybe getting money, but ultimately going back to Godhead. But they're approaching it like impersonalists. They're approaching it without Krishna. They're approaching it like in that purport also earlier, it describes how the people that do this type of meditation for a material goal, they stop chanting, and thereby they lose all of they have some position, they can sit very straight like a yogi, but they lose all of their attainment that they had because they were only using the attainment to get something, not to become purified and go back to Godhead.
Yeah. So your question was, is there any remedy? Well, the remedy and everything is here. Vinayak Prabhu, right? You said, is there any remedy to all this?
The remedy as per this purport is the chanting only.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah, so whatever the question was about the anarthas, etc., you can see that purport wrapped it up with 10,000 layers of bhakti. It wrapped up that question. I was giving a simple, point by point explanation as I was given that explanation in ISKCON by Prabhupada by reading the Nectar of Devotion. But this has gone so much further. It's absolutely remarkable that Ramachandra, you found it?
Yeah, that's why Prabhupada's books are so important, and you don't need, you just see if anyone can check out themselves. Are they getting free from these anarthas, unwanted things? And this way you can check yourself. Where are you? Are you in Bhava Bhakti or you're far away from Bhava Bhakti? You know what I'm saying?
Terrible. I can just
If you have any of the symptoms then you're far away from what Mohit wants, Bhava Bhakti.
In essence, the very essence of it is when you sit down as a neophyte or not, after a few years, even neophyte, or for 10 years neophyte, you're chanting japa, and you can have to understand, am I building anarthas at the same time that I am becoming purified? Or am I rejecting the anarthas and I'm becoming purified, and in that process, dropping and letting go of desire for profit, adoration, distinction, to be admired, to be known as a great kirtanista, or anything like that. I have to learn how to let go of all of that. Right now, ISKCON, at least what I've seen in New Dwarka, is completely consumed with the kirtanista giving kirtan, and they actually pay them to come to lead festivals for 3 days.
Yeah, everything is being run on money now,
Yeah, and they do, the kirtanistas lead kirtans without ever once chanting a Prabhupada kirtan on the Prabhupada festival. Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday festival. And they do not even chant any Prabhupada kirtan on Prabhupada appearance day, on Prabhupada festival.
So I have one question. This is out of the context. Just after reading something, I got into this. So, why is it that when you're free from all your material work and you're doing quality chanting, then you feel anxiety that I'm doing something wrong, and you continuously in your neck or inside your mind you're thinking of Krishna, 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 and it's automatically going 24 into 7. But then when the week starts in the morning and then we try to chant and then we have work and then you forget everything and you go into your material work. So how do we manage that imbalance, right? On
Well,
Saturdays, Sundays, on Mondays, you are like too much into Krishna. You're like always thinking of Krishna. You're crying for Krishna, and then the
yes,
Saturday comes and Monday comes, and then again that same mud of
but who
you're
is
thinking.
thinking of Krishna? You said thinking of Krishna. Who is it that's thinking of Krishna?
My soul, bro.
Yeah, and who is it that's going to work? Who
Sorry,
is
bro.
going to work? Huh?
The body is going to work.
Body is going to work, yeah.
No. Without the jiva, the body will just rot away in the floor.
Yes, the
How can the body go to work?
the soul is
Without the
acting through
jiva?
the body, and then his material desires are being fulfilled.
No, he's talking that if I do all this nice chanting, right? If I'm doing all this nice chanting and I'm becoming purified,
Yes.
then I have to go to work. I'm saying, who is doing the chanting? He says, I, the jiva. And then I say, who is going to work? Is it not also the jiva?
Bro, it's the jiva, but it's for the body, right? If we are doing
No, it's
quality
not for
chanting,
the body.
Krishna will automatically provide, right? That's a misconception in my mind that I
We
need to
have to
work.
understand this very clearly. When the jiva has a job, like high-tech job or any type of job, he goes to work. He goes to work bringing his body. If he's working at a computer, his fingers are used by the jiva. The whole point is be Krishna, be the jiva, not the body. The minute that you are identifying as the jiva, then you'll find that your material work will not be so material after all, and it will work out. But if I switch off the gears and say, I'm a devotee on the weekend now, during the week, I'm a karmi. That's not the right way to do it. You need to be a devotee 24/7. And if you're at work and you're chanting, does that make sense, Ramachandra? And if you go to work and you've been chanting, when you're doing your work, you're still the spirit soul inside of the puzzle that is your job. The job is a puzzle to be solved, right?
But Prabhu, those chants which I do on Saturdays, Sundays, I mean, when I'm in front of the laptop, I'm taking Krishna's name in my mind, right? Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. But that quality chant is not there. So that's what hurts me a lot. And then
let's concentrate not on the chanting, because the chanting is your process of bhakti. Just like you can chant in the morning, four in the morning, you can chant at night, 4 in the afternoon, and in the meantime, you can work at a job. It's not like you're trying to meditate on Krishna while you're working. It's not what you have made in progress by chanting Hare Krishna when you're doing your bhajans, your darshans, the devotional service that you're doing there, you bring that consciousness to your work. What you become purified, be purified while you work. It's not you turn off purified to work.
got it.
Does that make sense? You're the same person, aren't you?
So,
are you the same person when you're chanting and the same person when you're doing work?
of course, the same person, but yeah, I'm in a different role. That's the point. Yeah.
Well, let's get in the same mode. Because if you do that, you may end up the president of the company very quickly, because you'll see the inner core of what that business is about. You'll see what the job really is, and that you're not just doing satisfactory stuff to please your boss, but you're doing satisfactory stuff to solve the problem.
Very
If your job is to solve problems on a computer, when most people have computers that work on computers too, depending low level or high level, you're solving a problem with your computer. Then, supposing that you approach it that the problem to be solved is an algorithmic problem, the solution lies within your grasp, because you are pure spirit soul, and you've been practicing in your temple, in your japa beads, kirtan, you've been practicing your Krishna consciousness. Take that Krishna consciousness, solve the problem. If you look at Srila Prabhupada, he's a pure devotee, but look how many practical problems he solved without becoming a materialist.
So, Prabhu, I mean, when I'm in front of the laptop doing some complex work, I mean, doing some client's complex work, and if I'm thinking of Krishna at that moment, right, 1 minute Krishna, and then on the laptop, that's okay, and that's not offensive thinking or
Well, no,
Krishna.
no, first of all, it's not. But second of all, you don't have to abstractly think of Krishna while you're at work. Think of you as part and parcel of Krishna working.
Haribo.
You're Krishna. You are also Krishna.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The jiva. The jiva is Krishna.
Wonderful.
There's no difference between the jiva and Krishna, correct?
Haribo. Yeah.
Except size. Krishna is
Chai.
infinite. The jiva is infinitesimal. But qualitatively, if we say Chitta Veda Veda Svatva, inconceivably one and different, inconceivably one and different than the Lord. So how can you be one with the Lord and different? Remember who you are. You're part and parcel of Krishna. That's why you're chanting. You're not chanting to fantasize that you're saying Krishna. You're chanting so that Krishna will enter your heart.
Haribo. Yeah.
You don't have to imagine Krishna. He's real. Krishna is
Haribo.
actually,
Yeah.
Krishna is not a fantasy, and he's not just simply a religious practice of some sort. You know?
Jai.
Krishna is a person, and you're part and parcel of that person.
Okay, just a quick note. I think your god brother from Hawaii has joined.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Hari
Krishna.
Bol. Jai Prabhupada. Jai.
Jai Prabhupada. I remember you, Maharaj, in 1970s when we were building the LA temple. My name is Janaspriha. I helped hang the doors, and you were the man in charge. And it was really nice working with you, and I always appreciated the love that Prabhupada had for you, and you were always so ready to do whatever he told you. No questions asked.
Well, because if you want a good result, then you have to do what the spiritual master says to do.
Hari Bol. Nara Narayan Prabhu ki Jai. Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki Jai.
Why not introduce yourself by name?
My name is Janaspriha Das. I joined in Vancouver, British Columbia. I got initiated in Los Angeles when Jaitirtha was president in 1972. Then I went to Mexico City. Then I went back to Canada. Then I worked with Gunagrahi in San Diego. Then I became independent after the 77 fiasco. The fake guru, Sonalacharya, they just scare everybody away.
I'm not kidding.
I'm still recovering, and a lot of us are recovering. And thanks to you and other people, we're seeing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
So we're not worried. That's 50 years ago. We don't have to worry about that. Do you know why? We're looking forward to the end of the 10,000 years of the golden age of calling. What you're on, this platform that you're on, is called the League for 10K, or League for 10,000 years of the golden age of calling. So we're not looking back even for 50 years. But in 200 years from now, do you think we're going to care what happened 50 years ago from our point of view now?
Yeah, that you're right. That's
What about in 5,000 years ago? Are we going to be looking back? Oh, it was a terrible thing that happened in 1977. Well, of course it was terrible, but by that time, we will have sorted it all out. In fact, we're hoping we will sort it out in this lifetime.
hope it's in the next few years.
Well, in my case, yes.
Yeah. We don't have that. I don't have that much long to go. So I wanna do whatever I can to just tell people that Srila Prabhupada is the only way, and there's no other way.
Then I beg of you, join the League for 10K and put your shoulder to the wheel.
Aye.
We'll make it happen. If you know what putting the shoulder to the wheel means, if you have a cart, like an ox cart, and it gets stuck in the mud, you can't get it out. The ox can't pull it out. You can't pull it with the ox. Everybody tries to push and pull, but it won't move. So you put your shoulder to the wheel and force the wheel to turn by the force of your shoulder.
Aye. Or
That's
call
what
our
I'm begging you to do. Put
All
your
right.
shoulder to the wheel and forget the last 50 years. We are saying that ISKCON never existed, and whatever they did in the name of ISKCON, that's fine. Prabhupada built temples, Prabhupada printed books. That's what Prabhupada accomplished in spite of ISKCON not existing. He pretended that it existed, and he made it work. And it happened. But now we have godbrothers in India who are stuck with unsolvable problems. There's three major forces in India: GBC, ICC, and the what's it called, the Bureau, and they're trying to solve problems. But what they're beginning to understand is they have finally, after this period of time, come to a dead end, and there's no way out of their dead end. They're unwilling to do it to the dead end, which means ISKCON is now just the Church of ISKCON, and we don't care about Prabhupada's books anymore. And we can't say we accept Prabhupada's books when they don't. So now we are at the point of having to reinstall Prabhupada as the Acharya of ISKCON for the next 9,450 years, which will be the end of the 10,000 years of golden age of Kali.
Aye.
He's meant to do that. We don't even have the whole Sampradaya. We like to think, oh yes, Balaram, Madhavacharya. We don't have to think like that. Do you know when the last appearance of Balaram on planet Earth?
5,000 years ago.
Nay, 500 years ago.
Yeah, Nityananda Ram. We just had his
Yes.
festival.
Oh, Jai.
In 1968, I was in New York City designing and building the altar there for the new temple that we had on 62 Second Avenue. And I saw a letter that Prabhupada had written to Brahmananda. And he said, we should all imagine that we're being dragged up through the Sampradaya by our Sikhs, you know, but we should be dragged up by our Sikhs up the Sampradaya by Lord Nityananda. And I was looking over Brahmananda's shoulder as he was reading it. I said, Lord Nityananda? I thought it's supposed to be Balaram, you know? But then, like yourself, I reached the right conclusion.
Nitai
Lord
Gauranga.
Yes. So Lord Nityananda is Balaram. So we have a short Sampradaya. Lord Chaitanya appeared 550 years ago, more or less. I'm saying 550 years ago, it's probably 560 or 545 or whatever. He appeared that time ago. And then Lord Balaram came there. After Lord Balaram, if you look at the Sampradaya in the Bhagavad Gita, you'll see there's stacks of Goswamis coming from Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah.
And Lord Chaitanya, there's nothing else. Then it comes down to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It comes down to Gorkha Das Babaji, the great contrarian. When I say the great contrarian, you know what a contrarian is, Prabhu?
No, no idea.
He does everything backwards.
Oh, yeah, contrary.
Contrary. A
Yeah.
contrarian is a person who lives.
It's like a maverick,
completely-
like a
he's
maverick.
Well, sort of, yeah. A maverick doesn't have to be contrarian, though. He could just be eccentric. But a contrarian does the opposite.
Okay.
So what would Gaur Kishore Das Babaji do? He chanted japa. Where did he chant his japa?
The stool pit.
In the latrine, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, in the latrine, but next to the latrine. Whatever it is, that's forbidden. That's contrary to. He did that to keep all the Brahmins away from trying to get initiated by him.
Yeah.
Now, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in Radhakund, he had a bhajan kutir, right, and he would sit with his back to the kunda of Radhakund, and it's sort of a coffee table, just like Prabhupada's. They must have come from England. I never thought of it before. And then, do you know what was sitting in the room with him?
No idea.
A large ceramic, elegant, expensive, imported all the way from England toilet.
Wow.
And you know who made the toilets in those days?
No idea.
The inventor of the toilet. In India, the guy that makes all the toilets is named Dalmia. So Dalmia's name is inside of every toilet. He should have thought, he's a great Vaishnava. He should have thought twice before putting his name where everyone could crap on it. But maybe he did it on purpose. Maybe he did it on purpose. So the toilets in England were made by a man named Crapper. And so when the English said, "Excuse me, gentlemen, I have to go and take a crap." So that's where the word, our English word, taking a crap came from, because it came from the name that you looked inside the toilet. It says crapper inside the toilet. So I'm going to do one of those, a crapper. So it says I'll take a crap. Anyhow, so that's Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. But why did Bhaktisiddhanta have a crapper in his bhajan kutir?
Why?
Tell me why.
So nobody will come and bother him.
Who was his guru?
Gaur Kishore Das Babaji.
Where did Gaur Kishore Das Babaji chant?
He chanted by the stool field.
And now I say, why did Bhaktisiddhanta have a crapper in his bhajan kutir 1.5 feet away from his desk?
That's a mystery.
A mystery?
He's a contrarian like his gurus.
Yeah.
He does things which are unthinkable.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
He used
did
to
the
also
exact opposite.
wear very expensive silk clothing at
Now,
times.
can you think of anybody in the history of the modern Vaishnava Sampradaya, say coming from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, can you think of anyone who was less contrarian by nature than Bhaktisiddhanta? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Saraswati means he was as educated gets. He's as knowledgeable gets, right?
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
Prabhupada was a bit of a contrarian in many ways.
Yes.
Well, let's get there gradually. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati not only had a crapper in Radhakund, which happened to be the only flush toilet in Radhakund, including the only toilet, including all the others had latrines, a privy, a toilet with a bowl behind it, and the guy comes to the rickshaw and takes the bowl out and puts the fresh bowl there.
Did he use it for anything?
What, the stool? Well, who knows? But I'm just pointing out that he had the only flush toilet, and it wasn't even an Asian flush toilet where you sit on the floor, right? It was a
Western,
British
yeah.
flush toilet. And when he went to Vrindavan, a sannyasi entering Vrindavan has to come in barefoot, humbly, with great reverence. Do you know how Bhaktisiddhanta came into Vrindavan, followed by thousands of his disciples?
Right in on his Ford.
Not a Ford, it was a limousine.
Oh, I
He
didn't know
drove-
he had a limo. I just heard he had a car.
He came in wearing shoes with a British chauffeur driving a limo, and he sat there. The Brijvasis rejected him.
Is that when they chased him?
I don't know. I don't know his history that well, but I do know they didn't want to give him anything to eat.
There's one pastime where they chased him, and one person that was standing there and switched clothing with him, and he
And
escaped.
that was in Navadvip.
Ah,
And the person was Keshavji Maharaj.
oh, different pastime.
Yeah.
Well, who's telling this story?
Vinayak
Another
Prabhu
week?
saying, Vinayak.
Oh yeah, Joy.
So what's going on in Hawaii, Prabhu? Janaspriya Prabhu?
In Hawaii, the temple is very sweet. We have a very we have Prabhupada's original books only in the Hawaii temple,
Okay.
and we had some hardcore rhythmic pujaris for years, and they were doctrinating bhaktas and stuff, and it comes and goes, but it's kind of like an outpost because it's way out here, so we don't get too many guests coming this way, and it's run by a Mataji Kusha, and she's very fair and lovely, and they always got nice prasadam. And
Which island are you on?
I'm on Oahu, Honolulu. I have
really?
this question for you, Maharaj, that I personally feel this is my guru's temple,
Yes.
and I go there, and he installed those deities himself. So I feel if I do want to do pujari work,
Well,
I
is
feel
that the
great
temple-
doing it.
Is that the temple that has the big tree?
Yeah,
Yes.
the banyan tree, biggest banyan tree on the island.
Yeah, I stayed there several times on different occasions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to finish with the contrarian.
Okay.
Is that okay, Ramachandra?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I want to hear from Janaspriya also. So
Yeah, well, don't we still have some time?
we have about 36 minutes, 35 minutes.
Okay, well, I don't need 36 minutes
34.
because I want to emphasize it's pointless to say we all, Thakur Bhaktivinoda was the opposite of a contrarian. He was a British magistrate. Bhaktisiddhanta was the opposite of a contrarian.
Janaspriya, I think he knows that, Narayan Prabhu. He knows the history of the Vaishnava.
I am simply saying this for the record. For
Okay,
whoever's
okay.
listening,
Okay, go
that
ahead.
the Bhaktisiddhanta had a 2-day mela. The Brahmin and the twice-born Brahmin and the Vaishnav, and he defeated all of the Brahmins. And he was so strict. When he took initiation of Bhaktisiddhanta from Gorkha Shore, he entered into the realm, and I'm just giving you certain tiny little examples of his being contrarian. His greatest contrarian act, and I won't ask you because Ramachandra wants me to go through this quickly, but his greatest contrarian act was to initiate Prabhupada.
Jai.
First of all, Prabhupada wasn't even a member of the Gaudiya Math. And Prabhupada, interestingly, they took out a document and they all signed that none of them, even if they became gurus illicitly after Bhaktisiddhanta, that none of them would use the word Prabhupada, the term Prabhupada. When I designed the Mayapur temple in London with Prabhupada, not the one they're building, and I built a big billboard, and I put His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada looked at it and he said, "Oh my God, brothers will kill me." I thought he was just a matter of speech, but what he did was he ordered about 15 muscly brahmacharis from Calcutta to come as bodyguards because he thought they really would try to kill him. So
Wow.
in any event, leaving that aside, because he used the word, but he was not ever invited to sign the paper. He didn't sign the paper that said we'll never use the term Prabhupada.
Oh,
He was considered to be too much of a karmi. He
yeah.
was too low to be. No one would even dream, why would he become Prabhupada? So when he became Prabhupada, they had already signed their right to be Prabhupada away. Otherwise, if they hadn't signed that paper, they all could have said, oh, if Bhaktivedanta can do it, we can do it too. And so they'd all be called Prabhupada all over India, all over Bengal. But they cut their own throats on purpose, thinking they were defeating each other, but actually they were being defeated by Prabhupada, who did use the term Prabhupada. Okay, so who is the greatest contrarian? This is the last I'm going to go with this. Who was the greater contrarian than Gorkashore Das Babaji and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati? Who was the actually? Huh?
Prabhupada.
Yes, he initiated women.
Yeah.
He gave women Brahman initiation. He let men and women dance side by side in kirtan. He gave people that didn't know their gotra Brahman initiation. He gave the permission to people that were malachas and were meat eaters. They initiated them. 6 months later, he let them cook in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I mean, he did everything wrong. He went across the ocean. That's a no-no. He went across the ocean. Not supposed to do that. And he lived amongst the karmis. That's why the people, the four sannyasis went crazy. Prabhupada is God. His godbrothers use a Brahmabhuta to curse those four sannyasis so that they would say Prabhupada is God, so they could then turn around to their Bengali disciples and congregation saying, see, he's such a fool. He went to America and everyone advised, don't go, you'll get trapped. And now he became a guru. Oh yeah, but his disciples say that he's God. He's being worshipped. He's having his disciples worship him as God. That was why they did it.
Mm.
That's how that happened. I found out from an authoritative source.
Okay.
So anyhow, that's basically it. So I just wanted to end with Prabhupada was a contrarian so that he could do everything different. You know, the Sampradaya is so strict that if you take a disciple and he falls down, you have to go to all of your godbrothers weeping and offer your dandavats, begging for them to forgive him for having an initiated and unworthy person. But when Prabhupada gave initiation, hundreds of his disciples fell down. He didn't go begging permission, begging forgiveness. He just took the pain of the sin of initiating them on himself. And he then went on preaching like that. So he created Lord Chaitanya's movement as it is. That the holy name is the Shakti Vishavatar as it is. We don't need any gurus after Prabhupada because you basically only have Prabhupada so that he would make the recordings by which everyone can hear his chanting for the next 9,500 years.
Hmm.
So anyhow, I'm finished now, so Ramachandra, take over.
Okay. Go ahead, Janaspriha Prabhu. You wanted to
How could we preserve his writings and his audio and all these treasures that we have? He's the most recorded guru in history.
Who? Prabhupada?
Prabhupada, yes.
Well, why not? He's a
How
contrarian.
could we make sure that this his voice is there for the next 9,500 years?
The BBT archives, they have a wonderful group of devotees who are preserving all this, and they're always getting more and more letters, conversations, lectures. So they have a vault stored with Prabhupada's Vani, media, and stuff. So
Yeah.
they're doing that.
Yeah. And you know, by the way, just out of fun, do you know who created the archive?
I know Ridha personally.
Who?
Ridha Das, he was one of the original archive. There were two devotees, Ridha Das and the other guy with the glasses. They were both in Vancouver.
There's the Australian guy.
Yeah.
But I set him up to do the archive.
Jai. See, you're a visionary. You could do these things. You know, you're an amazing devotee, and I'm sure Prabhupada is very pleased with your service.
Hardly amazing devotee. But what I'm trying to say is, if a fallen wretch, lower than the straw in the streets, lower than everybody on this site, who is contaminated individual, if I could set up the archive, imagine what you can do.
Jai.
So what's going on is the preaching expanding in Hawaii?
No, it's pretty dead. It's like the same core of devotees.
Who are the core devotees?
There's a few devotees. There's like a handful. They have a skeleton crew with some bones missing.
Oh,
Well, is it possible that they would declare themselves a non-GBC, non-guru ISKCON,
I have
following
to.
the model of the League for 10K? Or even with those things, could they become convinced by you to join the League for 10K?
The nice thing about the temple that is actually owned by Ambarish. It's not owned by the GBC. So there's some.
Ambarish is not necessarily the best guy in the world.
I know.
He's a homosexual lover of Bhavananda.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But anyhow, Ambarish knows me, and the thing is it possible that we could convince the members, never mind Ambarish, never mind the GBC,
well, the way
they might be willing to join the League for 10K?
The way that's a legal matter, and the way is they have trustees for the property. So the way to do that is to become the trustees. There's no other way.
We don't have to make the temple anything. The temple's just a building. Will the members of the temple like to join the League for 10K?
Probably not. They're ISKCON.
ISKCON means Prabhupada, no?
Well, they're the counterfeit ISKCON.
Counterfeit ISKCON.
But you're there, right?
Well, not so much anymore, since I really want to preach, but I feel real guilty if any people that come to the temple, then they get one of these bogus gurus, and it's just like so horrible and so painful and so sad.
Don't you have any friends at the temple?
Yeah, they're all my friends, but they're...
Sure, so why not seduce them with the idea? You see, everybody's thinking, here's ISKCON 50-something years old, and we're trying to keep it okay, and there's so many people that are falling down, and the GBC seems very materialistic, which they are, and all of the things people are thinking about. Supposing you tell, or first of all, become convinced yourself, but if you're convinced yourself that ISKCON never started, it ended in 1970. Prabhupada opened more temples. He printed lots of books. But ISKCON, as what Prabhupada wanted, was destroyed by Guru Aparad in 1970 when the GBC refused to be elected, right?
Yeah.
So can you gradually wiggle that thought into their minds that the GBC, that ISKCON has not existed? I mean, they must be aware that thriving Hawaii temple is now that skeleton. I like the way you put it, with missing bones. I like that way you said it. I don't like that it's happening, but I like the way you express it. But can you not begin to seduce them with the idea that the ISKCON that they joined, that they wanted, that they believed in the Prabhupada that they believed in, that is going forward from 1970, not what happened. We have to go back to 1970, recreate ISKCON, and since they're just a skeleton with missing bones, they can do that, can't they? They can start recreating ISKCON as it is.
If Prabhupada wishes, everything is possible.
Well, and if you say everything is possible, it's also possible.
So,
Put
so
it this way, would you like it to be possible?
Oh yeah, of course. I thought that should be. I think actually the temple should be what we need right now, because I'm old. I'm 73, and what we need
That is-
desperately.
You're
Desperately.
young.
Yeah. Well, I'm a baby. Okay. What we
I'm
need is
70. I'm 78.
you're just a baby.
Well, let's keep going. May you live to, the Jewish people say, may you live to be 120.
Yep.
No.
how long you've been in Hawaii, Prabhu?
34 years.
Oh, 34 years. Acha.
Okay. Anyhow, I'm not trying to put any pressure on you
No,
right
no,
now.
no, but I think it's a wonderful idea, and I will see what's possible.
What you can do is,
So,
if you meet
you're
young
busy.
people who are interested in learning the truth, they can join our program and they can discuss with us. So
Yeah,
anyone,
from the Zoom call, just
Yes.
like you.
yes,
Yeah.
just like you joined, let them come here and let them, have association with yourself, Nara Narayan Prabhu. I'm in Sacramento,
You?
California.
Yeah.
Got other people in India.
You friends with Sumit?
Who?
Sumit Bharat?
Oh, Sumit Bharat is my brother-in-law. How did you know that?
He's my buddy, bro. He stay here in my home.
Oh, Sumit, yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Sumit stayed with you. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love them. I love the brother. We hooked up immediately at the temple, and I say, "You come my home, bro." And
He lived with you. Hare
he
Krishna.
started working on the garden right away, planting stuff. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's a good guy, but he got distracted.
Yeah.
He got a little distracted when he came back here, but I think he still appreciates your, what you did for him. So
Yeah.
Well, I'm an art restorer. You take a Grecian vase in pieces. You find it all over the place in the tomb. You take it out and you put it back together and you glue it back together and make it look like new.
Guy.
So that's what I'm recommending here. Let's take all the broken pieces and bring it back. I haven't been in the Hawaiian temple since the late 90s, I think. But I was there for a convention of art conservators where I was a lecturer.
I'm very close friends with Govinda Dasi.
Oh yes.
do you have Govinda Dasi's number? I was always looking to contact her. Is there a way?
I could put you in touch with her.
Please, yes.
That's wonderful.
She's in Texas right now, right?
She's in Louisiana.
Oh,
or Alachua. Most likely in Alachua.
Why is she in Louisiana?
She owns a 200-acre farm, and she's looking for devotees to help it run it.
Wow.
Nobody wants to go there. It's a beautiful farmland with machinery and brand new house with Batsu temple building and everything.
But she had a grandmother in Houston, Texas, I thought.
She had a mom in Texas. No, the mom actually was in Louisiana. She was born in that farm, and she burned the house, so they had to build a new house in the last 5-10 years.
Well, they did, because she was going to contract me to design and build doors for her house.
Yeah.
Did you ever see a Murti called Kartamashid?
Oh, I know him personally.
Did you know that I
got a check? Oh, you made that? Oh my God! I had
Do you
the
know why I
privilege.
did that? Do you know why I did that?
No, tell me.
Because in 1969, Govindadasi became obsessed with the idea of painting Kartamashad. To order to paint Kartamashad, there were just like two, one in New York and one in San Francisco, and they were made of papier-mâché,
Yeah.
paper mache. And so she couldn't paint them, and they were very nicely painted to begin with. And so she asked me, could I make them? So I borrowed the one from San Francisco, made a mold, and made 17 castings from the mold of Kartamashad, and then Govindadasi painted them.
Wow.
And one time we were in the Los Angeles temple, and the early one, not the one on Watsika. There was the Los Angeles temple on La Cienega Boulevard, and we had a little corner with a curtain around it where we were working on the Kartamashad deities. I was, taking them out of the molds and sanding them and stuff like that. And Govindadasi was priming them and painting them. And we were concentrating so much that suddenly we were aware there was a bunch of devotees around us giggling. They were giggling. We didn't know why they were giggling. And so we looked up, and there was Srila Prabhupada bending over, smiling from ear to ear. He'd practically brought his face close to ours. Govindadasi is sitting to my left. I'm sitting like a foot and a half to the right. And Prabhupada came into that aura space with his own face, and I nearly fainted. The last thing I expected was to see Prabhupada looking at us making those murtis.
Wow. What a pastime.
Yeah.
So,
So that was
Janaspriha Prabhu,
Govindadasi, and she got me into it.
are you retired or
Pretty much.
pretty much okay? Nice.
What's your profession?
I'm a musician, devotee. Do you know, I got deities, I do puja. Mother Kriya Shakti is one of our household members. Another god brother, Yogananda, Paul Prabhupada Nugas.
Vedaguya is there too? Is Vedaguya your friend?
Vedagoya is driving Uber, and he married Madana, which was the temple president, made the temple go broke.
Who?
Madana,
Oh,
Madana
right.
Sundari.
Is she a Prabhupada disciple too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We have quite a few on Prabhupada's appearance. There's maybe 12, 15, sometimes more Prabhupada disciples.
Who's the GBC there? Is the so-called GBC? Is it what's his name?
Tell you the truth, last I heard is Badri Narayan.
No, the other guy. What's his name? The guy that's initiating gay people. What's his name?
Oh, the Canadian guy? The walking the walking Swami.
No. That's Bhakti Mark Swami, not him. There's that
Narahari?
Narahari. Yes.
No. Narahari, I just saw him today. Narahari is off the picture, and he's doing his whole X-rated show somewhere else.
X-rated show?
Well, no, I'm sorry to say that. I shouldn't say that. I slipped. I'm sorry.
I would like to ask you a question, and that is, what is Siddha Swarup up to?
Siddha Swarup is somewhere in New Zealand mostly, and he's just keeping a low profile as I try to stay uninvolved with the crimes that they're committing with the pyramid scams, and they had some legal problems. They had some legal problems in either New Zealand or Australia. The police was involved. There were many millions of dollars involved. So he's just trying to stay clear.
Running the straight and narrow path. Huh?
He's just trying to stay clear and low profile as far as I understand.
What about Tulsi?
Tulsi, she's, I don't know what now. I don't know. She'll be the next president of the U.S. That's all I know.
Yeah, Tulsi,
at some point.
If Prabhupada had kept if GBC had been elected, then there would have been so many Gurukulis and Gurukula boys that could have gone and done exactly what Tulsi Gabbard did.
Yeah.
She's the only Gurukula, and it didn't come out of ISKCON. She's
Well,
the only
Raghu,
Gurukuli that is a representing Krishna consciousness in government.
Raghu Go Fire tried. Raghu from the Big Island. He's involved in politics. He has the Shopping American Party or something. But it's nothing.
But what is he actually doing?
Nothing.
Right. But Tulsi Gabbard is doing.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know?
I saw her at the temple. She came to the temple, and I was there for the ceremony. And all the devotees were hugging her and taking pictures with her. So I just waited till everybody went away, and she got on the car, and I went knocked on the window with her guard. She rolled the window down, and I said, Srila Prabhupada is very pleased with you. Please keep on doing what you're doing. And she smiled and thanked me from the heart.
Yes, she's genuine.
Yeah,
Right.
she's the real thing. Govinda Das is pretty much in charge, in touch with her, and she listens to Govinda very closely.
Okay.
Govinda?
Govinda Dasi.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like
Govinda does
Auntie,
it, yeah.
Auntie Govinda to her.
Tulsi Gabbard does?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Let's work with them. Let's work with them. Right?
Yeah, well, I don't know what I don't know what she's doing. She's still in the military, as far as I know.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Being in the military is great. But the thing is, did you know how she was sworn into office in Washington? You must know, right?
Oh, yeah, Bhagavad Gita, of course.
Is it Prabhupada's Gita?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Original Gita, I think.
So the only devotee that came out of the so-called Gurukula system that has done what Prabhupada asked is Tulsi Gabbard.
Yes.
Let's give her our blessings.
Yes.
Let's touch her feet. She came around when she was running for office and came around to all the devotees. Everybody was grinning and like idiots and wanted to take their picture with her. But nobody was ready to support her.
Yeah.
To make a political action committee for her. So she came back to see if the devotees would support her. No, she had to go to Karmis to support her.
Yeah.
So this is where we need to be going. Now, you understand, right, that the League for 10K means we're not looking backwards. We're looking forward. We're coming up with a novel idea that in 5,000 years, maybe we'll all still be in ISKCON. We'll have ISKCON revived. It will no longer have the GBC in Mayapur. It will no longer be internationally incorporated, but each temple will be individually incorporated. We'll have ISKCON back to where Prabhupada created it in 1966 and the GBC in 1970. But we're going to have that. But can you imagine that will be what ISKCON will be 5,000 years from now? Would you like to be part of that 5,000 years from now?
Tomorrow morning.
Huh?
Come and say hi to Nara Narayan.
Jai.
Come. This is Yogananda. This is one of the roommates, Prabhupada disciple. Oh, let me turn the camera on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know where the camera for you is. Oh, I see.
Haribol, Dandavats.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Haribol.
No lo oigo, pero.
Yes.
Haribol.
Prabhupada is finally, after 50 years of wasted time, he's coming into the power that he was descended from Krishna Loka to activate. Prabhupada is coming back, not in physical form, but as the Vani, as the Acharya for the next 9,500 years left of the golden age of Kali. Do you like that?
I like that.
Well, good.
I believe it because
So let's make it happen in our lifetime, okay?
yes.
He's a great musician. If we need some soundtrack.
Wow.
Right.
What sort of music?
All sorts. I
Super.
studied electronic music. I was a drummer. Took classical guitar when I was a teenager, but it's like experimental music. But you can listen to some of it on my website. It's called mahachakra.com. He can send you.
Tuna Chakra? Yeah, I'll get this from you. I'd like
Yeah.
to hear it. That's
Yes.
good. You know, back when I was a young fellow in San Francisco, I used to jam with Jerry Garcia.
Wow. So you'll get it. I like to experiment and improvise, and we like to jam with Babaji, and
Yeah.
there's a couple of bhajans I had to do in that list on Mahachakra. A lot of others are just experiments that I go with the flow, you know. But
Yeah.
you'll get an idea.
So we used to do that. We used to also, Peter Alban from Big Brother and the Holding Company, we used to jam with them.
Wow, that's amazing.
And Janis Joplin.
Yes, I actually downloaded an album the other day. I wanted to hear him again. Big Brother and the Holding Company.
Yeah. Big Brother and the Holding Company.
So,
we all lived in the same house in San Francisco.
so Janaspriha Prabhu,
Yeah.
is a lot of young people taking up Krishna consciousness and accepting Prabhupada as the only sole access to Krishna Loka, or a lot of people are being confused?
They're mostly confused.
Oh, so then you have a responsibility there.
Well,
Yeah.
this is my plan. This is what I was lost. I have no association.
Let's work
Just
together.
recently hooked up with a couple other groups, just trying to. One group we're producing a Back to Prabhupada magazine, only Prabhupada articles. The Spanish magazine came out. We distributed thousands. The English version is coming out.
Okay, you're working with Mahatma and what's his name?
Krishna Kishore.
Yes, and his good wife. Okay, very nice. Jai.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is very exciting. I feel this evening has been incredibly productive. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that we can get a group started espousing the values of the League for 10K. The
Yeah.
only thing you need to know about the League for 10K is we're not looking backward to revive ISKCON the way it
let
used to
me
be.
tell
We're
you a
looking
quick
forward. Let's
story.
Yes.
Story on that saying.
Yes.
Don't look
Don't
back.
let it scare anybody. So we'll say 5,000 years from now. We're
But-
aiming to create ISKCON for 5,000 years from now, but we're really looking to come 10,000 years. We're
What-
the league, like the Prabhupada's League of Devotees. We're the league for the 10,000 years of the golden age of Kali.
What do you
We
want
are
to say,
completely
Janaspriya?
supported by
When I lived in Maui, I had a landlord, and he was the pastor. He had a little, what's called Door of Faith Road, and he had a little church. And I went and I said, I would like to come and sing for God on Sundays. I said, oh, please come. I said, well, I'll play harmonium when I sing. And I sang in Sanskrit. I said, oh, wonderful. So I went and I had a full half an hour chanting. Then I prayed with them for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And I couldn't take the Christian preaching. It hurt so bad. But anyhow, he had this saying, and he used to say, never mind, don't look back, just move forward.
Jai.
Never mind, don't look behind. He used to say that.
Hmm.
So just another quick question. Does Sita Swarup have any followers that are still practicing like a temple?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Very nice temple, very nice Ratra Yatra. They have a multi-million-dollar health food store in the nice part of town. They have stores on every city and every island. They have a Down to Earth, it's called, and they
Yeah,
This is-
I've been there.
This is
Yes.
this
have
is
a
Sita
Sunday
Swarup,
feast.
right?
Yeah, they have a Sunday feast. And I used to go when I lived on Maui. I went to the Sita Swarup. There were 3 feasts to go on Maui. Turia,
This
that's
is
what.
great. This is fantastic. You're the key, the magic touch. Because I became good friends with Siddha Swarup in Mayapur way back in the day.
I only saw him twirling a stick on the field in Mayapur, dressed in real weird, colorful clothes. I said, "That's Srila Swarup," and I said, "Cool. He looks very cool." And that's all I know of him. I know
Yeah,
I
he
know
was.
his whole history.
We would go up on the roof of the building that I designed. Actually, I designed a building of those long, skinny buildings with arches on them. I designed those in London. And I would go up on the roof of Siddha Swarup and he'd be practicing his nimchucks.
Exactly.
So let's make a group. Let's make a group of friendship. We don't have to do anything, just say hi to each other. But let's make a group of friendship and then see what we can do for the next, end, for the golden age of Kali.
You know Mahatma personally?
I stayed with Mahatma for a couple of days at his home.
I preached to him when he came to the temple in 1977 in San Diego.
Oh, you preached him, Jai.
Yeah.
Mahatma, he's a guy sort of not terribly tall, but sort of a bald head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew him very well.
He's the who organized the first Prabhupada disciple reunion in LA.
Right.
I made those beautiful plaques with a name, bronze with a name of the devotees, thanking them for their service. He spent $7,000 putting that thing together.
Well,
Very
let's
nice
work together now. But let's be concentrating. Remember, are you thrilled by the possibility of us working into the next 5,000 years instead of working into the 50 years past? Everybody's so afraid of what's going to happen next in ISKCON. They should.
I think
ISKCON never existed. I don't accept it. After 1970, ISKCON ceased to exist. It existed only as a guru aparad against Prabhupada, meaning the GBC.
When is they kidnap Prabhupada and they trying to make sign ISKCON over Brahmananda and Gargamuni and Vishnu Jan and
yes.
What about that?
What year did that happen?
What are you saying?
What year did that happen when they kidnapped Prabhupada? They put him in a room for 2 or 3 days, and they tried to have him sign ISKCON over.
1971.
Oh, okay. Same time.
Same time as what?
Well, you just say ISKCON died in 1970.
Well, yeah, and that's why they were not mentioned as GBCs. But you know why they were saying Prabhupada was God?
Because one of them wanted to be God.
No, because Achyutananda was connected with the Gaudiya Math. The Gaudiya Math hired a Brahmabhuta yogi to create a spell, which then they infested Achyutananda. He spoke through the telephone into the ear of Brahmananda, and he got infected with the idea of Prabhupada is God. Prabhupada's godbrothers did that.
Wow.
They did it because they wanted to be able to say, Prabhupada comes to America, next thing you know, they're worshiping him as God. We told you, so stick with us over here in Navadvip. We may not have such a showy, la-di-da stuff with so many temples, but we at least are the real thing, because we do not say the Guru is God. So they did that, and they were under a spell. I was there in New Vrindavan when they were there doing the whole thing. I went from LA when they were doing it, to Detroit, to Boston, and then to New Vrindavan. And we stayed there until finally we kicked them out of New Vrindavan, cut off their sequins and their neck beads, and drove them down the road on foot. I mean, drove them with sticks down the road on foot. But then they gave it up, and they opened the Gainesville Temple and a whole bunch of temples.
So do you have any literature or any booklets or any?
About what happened?
No. Something we could distribute, something like we could pass on to other people, something.
About what?
Tell them come on the meeting. Tell them come on the meeting. We're here. They can come in contact with us.
We're not interested in beating a dead horse.
Yeah, I love this format. First time I found you, I listened for hours and hours. I was just in trance.
Well, tell them to participate. We want everyone to participate, Prabhu.
And we want you to participate. We
Yes.
want to
Well,
embrace you.
I can't see the other group. Krishna Kishore group is a Spanish group. It's all in Spanish.
Well, this is a Spanish group too. No, I'm just kidding.
Mahatma speaks pretty good
quiere
English.
decir en español? ¿Quiere glorificar el Dios en español? ¿Por qué no?
Seguro que sí, señor Prabhu.
Pero usted de Canadá, ¿no? No,
No, yo soy mexicano. Mexicano alemán.
Mexicano, ¿de qué parte de México?
Mexico City.
So,
DF.
so you're originally from Mexico? Your family's from Mexico?
Sí, Mexican German.
Mexican.
Father German.
Yeah. So,
Oh, very good. So have
you
German
must have been at the
Jewish.
temple near Lake Flaquepaque, right?
Yeah.
Con los pájaros. Millions of pájaros.
By the way, I love that video where you were playing the guitar. I saw that video on YouTube years ago.
Yeah, I was at that temple. It had a big circular staircase going up. Right? I was there in 1975.
Beautiful temple. They still have it and it's empty. They don't know what to do.
Wonderful.
That's
Yeah, I did a
amazing.
project. I did a project for la directora de arte de Distrito Federal in DF.
Mexico is very
some years
fertile
ago,
ground. You
and I
know,
became friends with her.
Mexico is very fertile ground for Prabhupada being the guru.
try.
It's wide
Well,
open,
that's
and
the main
people are
thing is-
wide open.
Let's work together to create the League for 10K. Automatically, thousands, and then millions of people will join
I
us.
think we should create something like the League for the Bodies.
Thousands of people will join us in this lifetime because everyone's sick of what's happened to ISKCON.
The problem with all the repeat brooks, everybody wants their group to join their group, and nobody
Doesn't
wants to
matter.
join the group.
Let's get everyone to join Prabhupada's group, meaning join the Sampradaya Acharya. The last Sampradaya Acharya is Prabhupada. They're not going to get anywhere with their group. If they want to create groups, then ISKCON will simply be a bunch of churches with everybody fighting, like the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I don't
Look
think
how
it
many
lasts
people
more
were
than that.
killed for the
I think
Prince of Peace.
ISKCON is going to break up in the next few years. It has to. It's
Good. So let's turn the tide in 1 year from now. Let's turn the tide so that thousands of people want to join with us. To
Janaspriha
preach into the
Prabhu,
future.
you have to bring some more people. Nara Narayan Prabhu had you come on, and now you bring one more person.
Oh, I got plenty of people, bro.
Very good. So have them come
Bring
on.
them on. Bring them on. We can accommodate them. We could meet 10 days a week.
Oh yeah, yes. My idea is to find 8 of my closest friends that they're borderline Prabhupanugas. They know it's the truth, and they know there's no other way, but there's some fear or reservation or whatever. So I'm working on 4 of them right now.
So the thing is, the holy name, Krishna's the Maha Mantra, given by Lord Chaitanya, he broke open the storehouse of love of God, correct? And the whole holy name was distributed to everyone in touch, Nalachas. That means meaning untouchables like us. And so what happened is that Lord Chaitanya distributed the holy name by itself as a Shaktivish avatar. You don't need a guru to get the holy name. In fact, if you hear the holy name once, nicely, from a pure source, like Prabhupada, will go back to Godhead eventually. Now, first you have to give up your material attachment. That could take 20, 100, 200 lifetimes. And if you're an animal, it could take 1,000 lifetimes.
Only
But the thing is, you will go back to Godhead, so you don't need a guru. No gurus are needed. The guru, what Prabhupada wanted was, what is Rupa Manjari still there?
No, it's past 10 o'clock, so she left.
Okay.
the only reason that the other sampradayas is still going on is because they're all rhythmic. So this idea that we're starting some new trend of this is never done in Vaishnava history is such trash that they talk,
So Ramachandra, what did Prabhupada say instead of Ritvik?
Officiating Acharya.
Yeah.
Okay, officiating Acharya is the term Prabhupada had. Did you know that Tamal Krishna that Prabhupada didn't sign as the author of the July 9th letter?
No. That was
Tamal did.
Tamal.
Tamal Krishna did. And Prabhupada didn't use the word Ritvik. Tamal used it.
Yeah, he says Ritvik.
So, what did you say? Representative Acharya?
Officiating Acharya.
Yeah, officiating Acharya. So officiating Acharya is Prabhupada's term. We should never use the word Ritvik. It's become poison anyhow. Just say officiating Acharya is the person that will initiate you as Prabhupada's disciple in ISKCON. He said ISKCON is my body. He said about ISKCON. So ISKCON without the GBC, without the ISKCON gurus, is Prabhupada's body. So officiating Acharya will introduce you to Prabhupada and give you the Diksha in the Agnihotra as an officiating Acharya for Prabhupada. Don't have to use the horrible word Ritvik. Ritvik's a very popular Muslim name also. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And a lot of Indians are named Ritvik in India.
Oh.
It's not a sacred name anymore.
Did my brother-in-law come visit you again, Janaspriha?
No, I wish he would. I've been inviting him, but it's kind of slippery right now.
Do you talk to him?
I try to, but he never I never catch him, or we just chat in
Yeah, try to get back, try to get him back. You know, he likes you, and you know.
He's not going now distributing books and chat.
Yeah, he was distributing books with me at one time when he joined, but after that, I don't know what happened. He went to Hawaii and he came back.
I think he got a little bit into Sadhguru and some of these other bogus gurus, you know.
Yeah, that's the problem with him, you know. I told him immediately to stick with Srila Prabhupada, but I guess he's looking for some type of mystical or some type of mystics or something. So
he's your wife. He's your wife's brother?
Yeah.
I had no idea. You never mentioned yet.
Who?
You never told me.
Oh, my wife's brother is someone who stayed with Janaspriha in Hawaii.
That's amazing.
So he knows who he is. And
get him back on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I saw your show, I was real excited. Like I listened to it for hours, and it was all nectar to my ears, everything I heard. And I'm very happy to be part of this Sangha, participate, and try to push on as we can, you know.
Yeah, because a lot of people have been misinformed, you know, about Srila Prabhupada's position, what Prabhupada wanted, and they know something is wrong, but they can't figure it out. So this Zoom meeting is for discussing the philosophy, how Prabhupada wanted things done. In this way, they get the proper understanding, and then they can tell others. They don't have to go through what we have gone through, you know, 50 years or whatever.
Yeah, that's no longer necessary. We're creating for the next 5,000, 4,000. I like it's really for the next 10,000 years.
Yes,
we're creating ISKCON for the next 10,000 years. We're not stopping to keep track of what happens inside of that 10,000 years. We just want to be sure it's pure Prabhupada, elected GBC, and everybody following Prabhupada, using Prabhupada's books as the
original
means
books,
of becoming knowledgeable and then not like. We don't care about what happens between 1970 and 2002. We really don't care. It's embarrassing. Yeah, it's so embarrassing. We have to go to find the ceramic handle, turn the ceramic handle, and flush it down the drain. So from 1970 to 2022.
It's just that this GBC, they're such criminals, you know. They're
is simply an embarrassing offense against Srila Prabhupada. Now, a lot of good came out of it. A lot of people came in to become devotees. A lot of people became initiated. A lot of people became sinful activity and chanted japa and did these good things came out but not because of ISKCON, but because that's what the temples were designed by Prabhupada to do. You join a temple, you worship the deity, you take prasadam, you listen to class. So that's what Prabhupada did. That's Prabhupada's presence right now is an ISKCON temple, but they have polluted it. And they're trying to control it. They're trying to turn it into
So my question was to you that sometimes I used to do pujari work and I liked it, and I felt very blessed, and I went on Haranam with the devotees. And
yes, you were blessed. It's Prabhupada's blessing on you. Actually, Krishna's blessing on you through Prabhupada.
I did
But
food
it
for life.
had nothing to do with any gurus. It
No,
had
yeah.
to do with
I
you
did
were
food for
initiated.
life for 5 years. I did food for life. That was my life.
Food
I
for
love
life.
it. I love doing prasadam, distributing prasadam. That's my thing.
That's wonderful. So this is all very that
I guess he signed up or his phone
Yeah.
died. Janaspriha Prabhu.
You have the 1 hour limit, or you're on the premium account?
No, I'm on the premium account, so don't worry about the limit. My question to you is, Govinda Dutt Prabhu was there. Did was he favorable, and did he understand that Prabhupada is the guru?
I think Govinda, that is wherever the money is.
Oh, Govinda Dutt is where the money is. Okay.
Yeah, and he's a nice devotee. He's sincere, but I think he's very confused.
Confused about what? What's there to be confused about? Chant Hare Krishna and
Yes,
Prabhupada is the guru?
He's trying to make it with the ISKCON politics.
So he's trying to be
He's
either
looking
he's
for own to chew on.
I think either he's trying to get some money or he's trying to be a guru or both.
I think not so much the money, but I think the guru thing is real attracted to him, and he actually spent money on this temple because the temple is very broke, and he was buying like appliances and things, expensive stuff. And he thought he was going to stay here and make a lot of money, but he doesn't know the politics here. It's different. It's another world, Hawaii.
So he was there for some time, huh? Govinda Dutt Prabhu?
He was here twice trying to be temple president, and each time he lost.
What happened? Why is it because he was too aggressive, or I think he was bringing in money and the programs were better, no?
He was kind of cleaning the temple and it looked all right, but there was something missing somewhere that the devotees didn't. Not everybody liked him. Then they heard that he was a wife beater, and the woman got all uptight. And he used to beat up his wife in LA, and the cops came 3 times. And you know how women are with those things, and they have a right to be, I suppose. So they didn't want a person of that.
Character. Okay, I see. Yeah, well, he could have started his own temple, where
that's what these guys need to do. That's the proper way, like Turiya. You want to have big guru, you want to have your temple, go open one, make your disciples.
Yeah, or officiate on behalf of Srila Prabhupada, be a Prabhupada disciple.
The ones that they have to be guru for whatever reason. They went to Sridhar, the gurus went to Sridhar. After Prabhupada left the planet, they went to Sridhar. And Sridhar told them, they asked him, could we be gurus? And Sridhar said, yes, you could be gurus, but you have to go and start your own temples. You can go and take over your guru's temples. And they rejected Sridhar at that point. They never talked to him because they already had the pie divided. Who had what, They couldn't wait.
Was Govinda Dasi ever temple president in Hawaii? No, huh?
She's too smart for that.
Okay, that's good.
Me too. I've been offered temple presidency many places. Not my thing. You put a target on your back if that's what you want. It's okay.
You put a target on your back. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Jai. So I hope this. Please join again. It'll be
I will. I'm there, bro.
very good. And
Prabhu,
try.
You don't have a schedule that is a certain day, just happen.
No, a certain day is Wednesday, Thursday, and sometimes Saturday and Sunday. So whenever there's program on Saturday and Sunday I will host, and Saturday there will be someone else that might be hosting.
Yeah.
But I will be there Wednesday and Thursday. I
really like your comments and everything you say. I'm with you 100%. You're like right on the money.
Yes, because I took up Krishna consciousness by reading Prabhupada's books, lectures, conversations, and then I went to ISKCON after a couple of years reading Prabhupada's books, hearing him, and then I saw there's something missing.
Yeah.
So
what do you think of Madhu Pandit?
I think Madhu Pandit he's all right, but he's also too much, has a target on his back, like a temple president. And then when you have a big institution, you have to deal with people, money, management, all this is a big headache,
Yeah.
I rather speak the truth and then not be compromised,
Yeah, but he sizes with ISKCON sometimes, I think.
Yes, he does. So that is, when you were, you got to take in all these people, you have to listen to them.
Yeah. What about Back to Prabhupada magazine?
Back to Prabhupada magazine, that what's his name? ISKCON IRM?
Yeah.
I think they're telling the truth, but I don't know what is the agenda. Is the agenda just to criticize and then?
The agenda is to that someday he thinks by some miracle the temple is gonna go back to Prabhupada. He doesn't explain how, or he's just that's his goal to.
I also think the same about them.
Vinayak Prabhu, huh?
He's a very smart person and he wrote very good.
Hi, Bo, my phone died.
Okay. All right, you're back, huh? Okay, yes, ISKCON IRM, yes, they send their magazines and they spend a lot of time making that magazine. So, I mean, it's nice that if people come to the understanding that Prabhupada is the Guru, Shiksha and Diksha Guru, and they take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, they chant Hare Krishna, they read his original books, that's wonderful. Eventually, or, they'll figure it out and tell others.
So Prabhu, do you know any Prabhupada Anuga in Japan? Like Japanese Prabhupada Anuga? You know anyone?
Janaspriha, do you know any devotees in Japan?
I know devotees in Japan, but I could find out. I'm just getting into this. I've been a Prabhupada Anuga ever since 1977, but I recently just realized that I got very little time left, 5-10 years. I'm an old man. And I like to do something for my guru,
Try.
I see a great opportunity and a great field right now, especially in Mexico and all the Latin countries. These people are so ready. They accept, they just like come by hundreds,
Yeah, Krishna Kishore is in Colombia or is in Mexico?
Colombia, he's in transit to Mexico, and they have a place in Puerto Escondido, which is a beautiful coastal town in the state of Oaxaca. They have some land that is walking distance to the oceans. Two families, they own land there, the devotees. The sister became a devotee and made the brothers and sisters devotees, and they chant japa and they have artics and they read Prabhupada's books and distribute prasadam, and they're eager to start a preaching center. They have a land in town for a preaching center. So it's coming down there. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. 8:23.
What did you say, Prabhu?
Is this your phone or the meeting?
They have the land and to make a preaching.
Okay, I'm in again, right?
Yes, you're here, Prabhu.
I've got 1% on my phone.
Okay.
You don't have an extra battery you plug in? I just have one of those. I love it.
Well, that's interesting. I had an auxiliary battery and I gave it to Karnamrita as a gift.
Okay. Anyway, so Janaspriha, you've been there 35 years, huh? You know the whole history of the Hawaii
They
movement.
call me the grandfather. I used to once in the temple, there's like an entrance.
Mhm.
I had a bench there and I used to go and sit there and everybody came and talked to me and they called me the grandfather for one. Then they took the temple president, new temple president came and took the bench out, which was cemented in.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't sit there.
What?
Oh, really? Could
What
I
did?
ask you, grandfather, could I ask you how old you are?
I'm 73.
Oh, you're like my baby brother.
Yes. Yes, hermano.
You know Jay Narayan, right? Janaspriha?
I know Nara Narayan and I knew his brother quite well and I loved them too.
Mm-hmm. Jai. What is Veda a guru too, or is your Prabhupada Nuga?
Who?
Veda Guya.
Berenguya is a little confused. I think he's kind of like he doesn't know which way to go. But
Okay.
He's still printing books. He's
Okay.
involved with the printing of Prabhupada's original books.
Acha.
And he's driving an Uber,
Hmm.
and he's a householder with this nice devotee lady. I'm sure they have some nice Krishna conscious at home.
Uh-huh.
Is he married to the same woman he was married to and had children with?
No. He renounced her, and he used to have some kind of temple in Sacramento at one time with beautiful ladies. And
He moved to Hawaii at one time,
Yeah.
and
he moved to Hawaii, and that place when he's a one-man show, and nobody could work with him.
I know. I tried to work with him. You know, I was involved with the lawsuit, and I was working closely with Hansaduta and Gupta on the lawsuit to win that case. Actually, I had a 3-story house. I turned the whole house over to the lawsuit.
Wow.
And I worked closely with him, but I warned Hansaduta, be careful, Gupta will cheat you. But Hansaduta was too trusting. And then Veda Guya came in, and I said, be careful of Veda Guya. But Veda Guya and Gupta got Hansaduta out, voted him out, even though it was his lawsuit and his case and his whole thing. They got rid of him so they could own the Krishna books.
Yeah, Veda Guya is a three-headed snake.
Yeah. But he was very close to his wife that he was married to for a long time. What happened?
I don't know. All I know is that
He made a lot of money. He had a semi-truck loaded with imitation masterpieces, that he got from Hong Kong and from Korea and stuff like that. And he would drive all over the country and sell them. He would buy them for like a couple $100 and sell them for a couple of $1,000. And he became a multimillionaire like that.
Oh, wow.
I stayed in his house in Sacramento.
Nice.
Some years ago.
Yeah, I never really got.
He was very difficult.
I never really got through him. He always looked like he's angry or.
But his wife and kids were very nice people.
Yeah.
Janaspriha, did you ever meet Kapinder Swami?
I never had the chance, but everything I heard is very positive.
Okay.
Everybody that worked with him really liked him and liked what he was doing. They missed him very much.
Uh-huh.
He's like the only.
Harinam. He lived with Harinam on the Big Island. You know that?
Yeah, I don't. What is Harinam doing?
Harinam's going to be joining our League for 10K site on the Zoom calls too.
Last I heard is he was trying to become guru.
Who? Harinam?
Yeah, a long time ago.
But I thought he was so-called. He's a so-called Ritvik.
Yeah, but he was trying to be the guru. That was a long
Yeah,
time.
that's the problem with. That's the problem. The guys become so-called
Maybe
mystics, and then next thing you know, they want to be regular
I'm
gurus.
talking maybe 20 years ago.
Uh-huh.
He used to play sitar, I play sitar, and he, he's a nice devotee. I like him.
How many people can stay at the Hawaii temple?
10, legally 12 people.
Legally 12 people, acha.
Hari had 100 people there.
Well, they have guest rooms too, don't they?
Yeah, but they're not supposed to be used by people. Only the ones behind the banyan tree.
Yeah, but I used to stay there and pay to live in the guest rooms.
Yeah, well, it all depends. Yeah, nobody complains to the city for a few years. Then the people start living on all the nice. There's about 3 little rooms built.
I thought it was like bed and breakfast sort of thing.
They there was a temple president, Sundar Indian, and he really ran it like a hotel, and had a lot of Indians coming, and $100 a night, $108 with prasadam, and for 2 or 3 people, that was a good deal.
Sundarananda.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was there when he was president, I think.
Yeah, I like Sundar. He's my buddy.
Okay, very nice. Try.
He's a Prabhupada man, but he's in there.
Yeah, he's in the ISKCON. Whoever's in ISKCON, they're more or less, if they're poor, they want money, or if they are a priest, they're Prabhupada men, they're a little bit compromised or a lot compromised.
His story, he was donated to ISKCON when he was a child.
Yeah.
His mother donated him and his brother.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So anyhow, my memories of the deities there, my memories of the prasadam there, my memories of staying there were very, very nice. I was there for about a week with 2 of my kids, or 3 of my kids.
Honolulu Temple is prasadam heaven.
We were at
that temple anytime, and you could get prasadam. There's not a problem.
Yeah, we were at an art conservation convention.
Yeah, I work with Nara Narayan. I worked with your son when he was here. One Ratra Yatra, he built an elephant head.
Oh, you worked with him on that.
And I really liked him. And I met your daughter also. She was here working at one time. Some Ratra Yatra.
My daughter, which daughter?
I don't know. I don't remember the name, but I know that.
Was it Shakuntala?
I think so.
Older than Kuva.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was very nice. He's living in New Zealand right now.
I like that elephant head so bad that after the Ratra Yatra, it was huge. And I tied it up on my truck and I drove it all the way to the North Shore. Tied to the top of my truck, and everybody was looking at it like it was something out of another world. It was amazing.
How nice.
And I had a little store, a gift shop, so I put it in front of the gift shop for like a month till it fell apart.
Well, you put the head in front of your shop?
Yeah.
How long did you keep it there?
About a month.
Wow. Then what'd you do with it?
They just fell apart, because of the rain and the...
Oh, I see.
So, Janaspriha Prabhu, if someone comes to Hawaii and wants to distribute books, do you need a permit for that? Or you can just distribute?
Well, I have a nonprofit. There's other people that have nonprofits.
Right? And you can go set up the book table by the beach or no?
Well, no, that's a whole kind of worms. I don't know if it's happening. They're trying to make it extinct, and I think it's pretty much, I don't think it exists anymore. I think finally the city won over. Slowly they start cutting it.
They just want the beach for tourists, right?
Yeah. They could be at all the state parks. So the beaches are state parks. So the Indian devotees, the Bengalis, had that pretty much under control. And ISKCON had a permit, but ISKCON didn't have enough people, so they sold their share to the Bengalis, but then they quit paying anything, and so now it's finished, I think.
Oh, okay. So they lost the opportunity to have a book table at the hot spots.
But mostly was merchandise with very few books.
Oh, okay. So they were doing business
They
basically.
were doing T-shirts and sarongs and everything. They just had to put a phrase in there like "Save the whales," and it was
Okay. Who's the main preacher there in Hawaii? Do they have a ISKCON guru or some devotee who's cultivating people?
There's somebody there, but I'm not allowed to say who it is because he's not ISKCON.
Huh? So someone is there, but you're not allowed to say because he's not ISKCON?
Something like that.
Okay.
I rather not get involved in that one. But he's a very nice sannyasi and he's a Prabhupada.
He's a
Are you
sannyasi,
talking
huh?
about?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Siddha Swarup?
No, not Siddhasarup.
If you just look at ISKCON Honolulu, you see his photo and you know.
Okay. He's a Prabhupada Nuga. So is he or is it mixed?
No, he actually took sannyas from Tripurari.
Oh, he's Gaudiya. He's this.
But Tripurari is kind of like, I don't know, some temples, some ISKCON temples, they let Tripurari pujaris.
Mhm.
It's kind of like ISKCON friendly, kind of. At least it used to be on my time.
Okay, you know Tripurari personally?
I knew him. When I took first initiation, he was taking second initiation in the same ceremony, and I like.
Okay. Mhm.
In Los Angeles?
Yes,
Yeah, I remember Tripurari from that time.
they used to call him Captain Trip when he first came to the temple.
Captain what?
Trip.
Trip. TRIPP.
Yeah. he
Can
was
you
a tripper.
remind me? You worked with me on the temple.
I worked with you hanging the
I
doors.
don't remember your white beard.
No, I didn't have a beer. I worked with you hanging the doors. You were specifically directing the hanging of the doors, and I was sent from Canada to help because I have a little experience with building and stuff. So they said they need help. You go.
Where were you in Canada?
Vancouver, Bahudak.
You know Vishwakarma?
I know who he is. I never had much real direct.
He was from Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Vishwakarma.
Okay, I see.
Yeah,
He
they
hated it.
about it.
Vishwakarma hated the fact that I was Prabhupada
Different
giving
group
me the
like
title
California.
Vishwakarma.
California and New York, New York devotees were always very serious and heavy, and California devotees were more little lax in comparison. So same Toronto and Vancouver.
I ended up buying a 10-acre parcel with a big house on it in Saranagati.
Oh, no, you're kidding? You still have that? No.
I'd have it, but I can't use it right now. Do you know anyone that wants to acquire it from me?
Yeah, I want it.
Okay, make a proposal. I'll listen to your proposal.
Yeah, well, let's see what you have a building in there. We'll talk about it. Where I could.
Well, you may have seen the. I don't. What was the last? Were you ever in Saranagati?
I know everybody. I know everybody out there. Not everybody, but I know.
Well, did you know that big log building that they called the
No,
log?
I never been there. I was in Brightsville, the original farm.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about it.
All right.
All right then.
Not quite well.
All right, Janaspriha Prabhu, Narayan Prabhu, it's 10:37 here. We'll end it here.
Darshan Prabhu, and it's been a great
Joy.
pleasure, and
It's been wonderful to
I'm
see
pretty
you.
excited. I hope I could sleep.
All right, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Haribo, Bancha Kalpa, Truviksha, Prabhupada, Namo Namaha.
Jai, Hare